The internet didn't erupt because of a trailer, a press release, or a carefully orchestrated reveal. It exploded because of a moment that felt raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. Within minutes, timelines flooded. Notifications spiked. Outlander fan spaces slipped into full meltdown mode. Something Sam Heughan did cut straight through the usual digital noise and triggered a reaction no one could slow down. And that reaction was no accident. What made the moment so volatile was how ordinary it appeared at first glance. There was no dramatic build-up, no countdown, no warning that anything significant was coming. It appeared quietly, almost casually, and then spread faster than official news ever could. Fans saw it before journalists framed it, dissected it before context arrived, and reacted before anyone thought to ask for restraint. Speed became the story. Within the first hour, fan accounts were posting screenshots, clips, and theories faster than they could be verified or dismissed. Some celebrated, some panicked, others openly admitted they didn't know what to feel. The emotional spectrum was wide, but the intensity was shared. This wasn't polite excitement. It was visceral, chaotic, and deeply personal. That kind of response doesn't come from nothing. For years, Sam's relationship with the Outlander fandom has been built on trust, consistency, and an unspoken rhythm. Fans learned how to read his silences, how to interpret his public presence, and how to respect the boundaries he kept. When something deviates from that pattern, even slightly, it lands harder than any major announcement ever could. This moment felt like a deviation, and deviations trigger alarms. What fans reacted to wasn't just the content itself, but the implication behind it. The detail that surfaced hinted at change, movement, or revelation, depending on who was reading it. Some saw possibility, others sensed loss. Many felt both at once. That emotional collision is what sent the fandom spiraling. It wasn't confusion, it was overload. As discussions grew louder, old conversations resurfaced. Past interviews were re-examined. Previous posts were reinterpreted. Long-standing theories were pulled back into the spotlight. The fandom didn't invent something new. It reopened something unresolved. That unresolved tension had been sitting quietly for years, waiting for a spark. This was it. What intensified the chaos was the absence of immediate clarification. No follow-up post, no explanation, no attempt to guide interpretation. The silence that followed acted like fuel, allowing speculation to expand unchecked. In fan culture, silence is never neutral. It's read as meaning, and meaning multiplies fast. Some fans insisted the moment was intentional, a calculated move meant to energize attention and ignite conversation. Others argued it was a perfectly normal action magnified by an emotionally invested audience. Both sides agreed on one thing: the reaction was real, and it was massive. The disagreement only amplified it. As the hours passed, the tone shifted from shock to obsession. Threads grew longer, theories became more elaborate, emotions spilled out more freely. People weren't just reacting to Sam anymore, they were reacting to each other. The moment became a mirror, reflecting how tightly identity and fandom had become intertwined. That's when the energy tipped from excitement into something heavier. Veteran fans recognized the pattern. They had seen similar eruptions before, moments when anticipation and attachment collided without resolution. Each time, the trigger looked small in hindsight, but the reaction revealed something far larger. This felt like another one of those moments, only amplified by years of accumulated expectation. Expectation is powerful, and it's dangerous. By the end of the day, the phrase "broke the internet" no longer sounded exaggerated. The metrics supported it. Engagement surged. Conversations spilled across platforms. Even people outside the fandom began asking what they had missed. What started as a single moment had become a shared emotional event. And shared events leave marks. What lingered wasn't clarity, but tension. Fans were left suspended between excitement and anxiety, unsure whether to celebrate or brace themselves. The lack of resolution kept attention locked in place. This wasn't closure. It was a pause before something else. That pause mattered because whatever Sam had triggered, intentionally or not, had reminded the fandom of its own intensity. It exposed how quickly collective emotion can ignite and how little it takes to push it over the edge. The internet wasn't broken by content alone, but by feeling. And that feeling wasn't going anywhere. After the initial explosion came interpretation. Once the shock faded, fans began asking why this moment had landed so hard. Sam Heughan had posted, spoken, and appeared countless times before without provoking anything close to this reaction. The difference now was emotional timing. The fandom wasn't responding to information alone, but to years of stored anticipation suddenly activated. For a long time, Outlander fans have lived in the space between certainty and projection. They learned to read pauses, tones, and absences as carefully as statements. When something disrupts that rhythm, even subtly, it feels seismic. This moment did exactly that by refusing to fit neatly into what fans thought they understood. And uncertainty breeds intensity. As the reaction evolved, it became clear that the internet hadn't fractured from shock alone. It fractured from contradiction. The moment carried signals that could be read in multiple, conflicting ways, and each interpretation revealed more about the audience than about Sam himself. Some saw promise. Others saw loss. Many felt an uneasy blend of both. That emotional split fueled engagement far beyond logic. Communities that normally celebrated together began debating tone, intention, and responsibility. Was Sam aware of what this would ignite, or had the fandom reached a point where any deviation would cause an eruption? The question wasn't accusatory, it was introspective. Fans were confronting how reactive they had become, and that confrontation was uncomfortable. Observers outside the fandom noted something crucial. Moments like this don't happen in isolation. They are built slowly, through years of trust, familiarity, and emotional investment. When that investment has no release, it looks for one. This moment became that release, whether it was meant to or not. Release, however, is rarely clean. What followed was a recalibration. Some fans stepped back, recognizing how quickly excitement had turned into anxiety. Others doubled down, convinced this was a signal of something larger on the horizon. Both responses came from the same place: attachment without resolution. Attachment can be powerful when grounded, but volatile when suspended. Throughout it all, Sam Heughan remained notably absent from the follow-up narrative. There were no clarifying comments, no attempts to soothe the reaction, no effort to steer interpretation. That silence, intentional or not, allowed the moment to complete its arc on its own. And that absence became part of the story. Gradually, the intensity settled into reflection. Conversations shifted from, "What does this mean?" to, "Why did we react this way?" Longtime fans recognized familiar patterns in themselves, moments where emotional closeness had replaced perspective. Newer fans were struck by the depth of investment on display. Both groups learned something unsettling. The truth was that Sam hadn't broken the internet by revealing something extraordinary. He had broken it by activating expectation without resolution. The fandom had filled in the gaps so completely that even a small disruption felt enormous. In that sense, the reaction wasn't really about him at all. It was about them. By the time the noise softened, a different understanding emerged. This wasn't a crisis, and it wasn't confirmation of anything concrete. It was a reminder of how tightly fandom emotion can coil when left ungrounded. The internet didn't need more information. It needed perspective, and perspective takes time. What lingered after the frenzy wasn't disappointment or celebration, but awareness. Fans became more conscious of how easily collective emotion escalates and how quickly meaning is assigned where nothing is confirmed. The moment acted as a quiet reset, forcing many to reconsider how they engage, speculate, and attach. That shift mattered more than the moment itself. In the end, the phrase, "broke the internet," proved misleading. The internet wasn't broken, it was exposed to the weight of expectation, the power of silence, and the volatility of shared emotion. Sam Heughan didn't change overnight, but the fandom's relationship with anticipation did. And that change will last far longer than the moment that triggered it.